In this lesson I'm going to show you how to make this really pretty 3-stone ring set with a pear-shaped amethyst. This is the collection of materials I'll be using for this project. If you've got a piece of 3mm square silver or gold, whatever you're going to use, wire, then you can roll and draw your metal to these measurements that I'm going to give you right now. So the centre stone is a pear-shaped amethyst that is 6mm by 8mm, and I'm just going to turn it around and just get a general size of the bezel. So we want the stone to sit on top. We're going to make a round bezel first and just make a judgment to see if that is going to form the right size, and I can see that that will. From inside the setting to outside is the best way to cut these. So I'm just going to do it this way. Now of course all the material's been annealed, ready to be worked, so just make sure that you have annealed it before you start. But hard solder is the closest alloy to the actual silver, so you're always better off using hard solder, regardless of whether you're going to open the setting up later on. We're going to form it into the pear shape, and we can trim a bit of metal off if need be. But the most important thing is to get the angle right. And the only way you know you've got the perfect angle where the solder joint is. And again, you cut a little squeeze, and then start to squeeze it together, and you'll see that it'll start forming a nice pear shape, although it is a slightly fat pear shape, but you can see it's coming along. Let's come back this way. And tighten it up. And again, you need to make sure that you contact the setting at the right point. So if you're off angle with your tweezers, you could squeeze it so that one side runs off on one direction. So there you go, it didn't really take that much. Then you should push the wire around, keep it really tight onto the pliers, and to not be seen with the stone on top. So you can see that's too big, but it doesn't matter. What I'm going to do is pretty much using guesswork. And forcing it into a round shape. Now that will be round enough to file it and get it. And we're done. And I'm going to just put a little cut down the side from that mark, set it up on a third hand so that the setting will just stay there as you solder, and get it into position. And we'll move around. Just get my solder in position, just with my tweezers this time. As you can see, things are moving a bit, but I'm gonna move it back, wind up properly as before. You should be able to turn it by hand like so. You might need 2 pliers and then overlap it. Just keep. There's going to be a lot of bashing going on. It saves a lot of filing and saves a lot of metal. Or something similar will fit inside the setting to be able to mark it like this. But now I can use my scalpel to just put a mark just slightly inside. Create the curve that way. Just make sure you don't change the angle. So that will allow me to solder it without any apparatus. But I'll just show you this ring soldering clamp. Other joints will start sweating and components drop off. So you need really good solder. And that's the other side done, so we can now work on getting the claws just to make sure that the drill is steadied. But if you're a good driller and it's a fresh drill, then you can just go in with the drill straight off. So now I'm going to turn the drill to the right angle and just go bend them into a U shape. And you want them to be dead parallel so they are flush against the setting. I place the solder on the part of the claw at the bottom here where I'll be cutting it off anyway. Then that minimises the cleanup later on. You can just see the solder rise to the top. And of course you can file this in if you prefer. If you're square shape, make sure everything stays perfectly lined up, so you should have that nice line going through, everything symmetrical from that line. The joint. Okay, I'll just add a little bit more, as that is a really large joint. And if possible, try not to allow the solder to run onto the other claw, to overcut it and perhaps cut too far. And there's no going back once you've done that. You've really messed it up. So I'm just going to very slowly bend out place if you're not careful. And for now, just leave them a little bit and just take the edge off it and make it more into a V shape. Now the other thing you need to watch out for is where the claws are soldered, heartburr that will fit inside like that. So if it's much smaller, it doesn't matter, it'll still make the same cut. Now as you saw when I placed the stone, it was lifted at this end, so pretty much all I need to do is put a slight cut on the two claws next to the bezel, and I'll also run the, and that will just latch onto the claw there, and then you can just give it a bit of a push, so any tool that will hold itself there is good enough without too much effort. This one here, if you're finding it hard to move these claws, just take off the outside edge and it will move quite easily. I'm going to do that once, and just the outer edge of the claw there, just to angle it. Now, as you can see, I've got full contact with the work via my thumb, and I've also got my other hand cupping my thumb just to keep everything steady, because it's easy to slip off your work if you're not careful. Burr with a sideways approach, and just start to get a little pocket in there. So now looking at it sideways, let's have a look. Yeah, I need to just burr down, you can see how it's slightly lifted at the point. So I just need to burr under that pocket a little bit. There's a bit of a lump there, just at that point there. So I'll just stroke the burr down. Both sides, just swap it over one side then the other to make sure it doesn't start tilting. Let's have a feel, see if it's moving. It's pretty good. File as well, like so. It's a nice little shape in there once I've squeezed it down, so I'm not going to give any pressure towards the point, but it'll be now going downward. And use that burnishing method with more effect with these pliers, and just roll it over the outer edge, and you can see the shape it's taking on. Because emery paper will scratch a stone like this. Now, if I was using the brownie, the shofu brownie, then that will scratch the stone. So I only do this, make contact with the stone with the greenie. And now we have it set, polished and finished. Hope you enjoyed.